Betong Integrated Development Agency to address the people's interests. PAXLOVID pills only for Category 4 and 5 patients, and police investigating deaths at a South African nightclub. Those are the headlines for tonight. Good evening, everyone. I'm Douglas Elliott, and this is TVS Nightline. We begin with our top story. More discussions will be held to discuss development priorities under the newly formed Betong Integrated Development Agency, or BIDA. Deputy Premier Dato' Amar Douglas Uga Umbas said initial discussion was held with the elected representatives in Betong recently, and the next session will involve the participation of community leaders to determine their priorities.
He said BIDA has been allocated 1.5 billion ringgit fund to speed up the development projects. The Bukit Saban assemblyman also said that BIDA was a gift from Premier of Sarawak, Datuk Patinggi Tan Sri Abang Johari Tun Openg, to thank the people of Betong for their continuing strong support of the government at the recent 12th state election. On agriculture, Uga reiterated his calls for the people to take up livestock and pond fish breeding, noting that the demand for meat and fish is on the rise, adding that an airport will be built at Bapuling to help market the products. Uga said this at a Gawai Daya Ziarah UKAS program jointly organized by his Bukit Saban PBB branch and Betong UKAS at the community hall on Sunday.
The Pfizer-developed antiviral pill PAXLOVID will only be given to treat patients in Category 4 and 5 and will not be given out randomly. Deputy Premier Dato' Sri Dr. Sim Kui Han said as it is a new drug, it will first be monitored by the health experts.
Dr. Sim, who is also Public Health, Housing and Local Government Minister, said presently the pill is only available at government hospitals and not readily available as over-the-counter. He said this after attending a graduation ceremony of the famed International College at Borneo Convention Centre Kuching BCCK on Sunday. Earlier, the Ministry of Health MOH had allocated Sarawak with 2,400 doses of the PAXLOVID pills, which arrived in Malaysia in April this year, to which the state government stated that it intends to purchase additional doses of the pills to complement the numbers.
Police in South Africa are investigating the deaths of at least 20 people inside a popular nightclub in East London on Sunday. The cause of the death for the mostly young adults, aged between 18 to 20 years old victims, are still unknown, as authorities said there were no obvious injuries on the victims.
The nightclub and surrounding area was cordoned off by police after authorities were alerted by members of the public to the incident at Scenery Park, about 3 kilometers from the city centre. Autopsies will be carried out as part of the investigation to determine the cause of death. Drinking is permitted in South African township pubs, commonly known as taverns, which are sometimes even located in family homes, where safety regulations are rarely enforced. Authority officials have also ruled out a stampede as the cause of death, adding that the patrons were students celebrating a party after finishing their high school exams.
Deputy Premier Dato' Amar Awang Tengah Ali Hassan recently led the Sarawak delegation at a roundtable meeting with Australia-Malaysia Business Chamber Western Australia in Perth. The 4-hour meeting serves to strengthen the collaboration between Sarawak and Australia in areas of trade and business, as well as potential investments.
In his welcoming remarks, Awang Tengah said that despite the slow economy, Sarawak's economic growth in 2021 is projected to be between 3 to 4%. He said that the total trade between Sarawak and Australia in 2021 was 3.6 billion ringgit and the value of Sarawak's export to Australia was 1.2 billion ringgit for crude petroleum, plywood and urea. Meanwhile, Sarawak's total import from Australia was 2.4 billion ringgit, mainly for aluminium ores and concentrate. More than 20 members of Australia-Malaysia Business Chamber Western Australia attended the roundtable discussion. Also present were the Consul General of Malaysia, Ahmad Fikri Zakian, who is also the Chamber's patron, and its Vice President, Bernard Chia.
After the recently concluded Borneo Jazz Festival on Sunday, another music festival will enthrall music lovers in MIRI this November. Back after a 2-year hiatus, the 8th edition of the MIRI Country Music Festival is set to be held on November 25th to 26th this year.
According to the Minister of Tourism, Creative Industry and Performing Arts, Datuk Seri Abdul Karim Rahman Hamzah, the MIRI Country Music Festival will gather local and international country musicians under one roof. The festival also serves as a platform for local talent to promote their music to a wider audience.
This morning, I'm very happy to announce that MIRI's own and Malaysia's first country music festival, the MIRI Country Music Fest, is finally back after 2 years. Throughout the years, MCMF has featured many locals and international bands with different styles of country music, coming all the way from Australia, from USA, Britain, Germany, Singapore, Indonesia, and Czech Republic. It is good to see that MCMF support both Malaysians and international country music performers, as this gives our very own local Sarawak musicians a platform to showcase and promote their music alongside international performers.
He said MCMF has attracted festival goers from nearby divisions such as Bintulu and Sabah, as well as neighboring countries Brunei, Singapore, and Indonesia, adding that the local community are known to embrace not only country music but also the cowboy culture.
And I can see that, especially the northern region of Sarawak, the Orang Ulu, they love country music. You go to the interior of Sarawak, kalau ada entertainment, it's always country music. That country road lah, that song, you'll never miss that song, So it is already in their blood. So this is just the right place, the right venue to play something like this. According to Gracie, who's also the founder of MCMF, the idea to organize this MCMF was derived from the affection that the local communities have for country music. Mirians are known to embrace not only country music, but they also dress the donning cowboy outfits. The Orang Ulu, they have got their own cowboy hats made of tree bark. So you can see how passionate they are about anything cowboy.
The 2-day MIRI Country Music Festival will be held at Eastwood Valley Golf and Country Club, MIRI.
The 17th edition of the Borneo Jazz Festival ends on a high note on Sunday, with thousands of visitors near and far convene at Copacabana MIRI to attend the physical event. TVS was also on location at the festival, and we spoke with a few visitors at the event.
A visitor from India, Madhu Shankar, said he came all the way to MIRI to attend the festival after reading about it in a magazine.
It's wonderful because I came here for the first time. I planned this about 2 years back in 2020 when I was traveling from Indonesia. And in the flight magazine, I've seen the advertisement for this. Ever since I've been thinking, but thanks to COVID, nothing happened. I'm really excited to come here actually.
It's good to be back after 2 years of pandemic. So this is the first time I came. Last week I went to Red Forest as well. I just came back. So okay, quite meriah also. Sambutannya okay jo, meriah. Ramai jo orang. Surprisingly.
TVS also met an international journalist, Marco FERRARRSE, who was covering the festival.
This was the first day actually, and this is my first time here. I know this is a very long-standing festival, 17 years. So far so good. I like the environment here because it's on a promenade, so you have a sea on both sides. And it was very nice at sunset when they had the sape show and then the dances. It was quite interesting. DJ set, then there's food, all the food stores around, and the room where the main hall where the bands are playing is a very nice long house.
For local resident Jordan Bong, the return of visitors to MIRI is a welcome sight, especially after the COVID-19 pandemic.
It was a great experience. It's good, like everyone having fun, some good songs, music, a little bit of drinks, and then, yeah, it's all like Borneo Jazz. We're all having fun, and then it's cool that, MIRI has such wonderful event.
Yeah, so I'm very happy I came here at the Copacabana for the Borneo Jazz Festival. So it was so crowded here, and the atmosphere is very hot, and the music is good. I saw their performance; they are really interesting. And MIRI, I've stopped for this event for 2 years. Now I'm coming back, and I see the crowds. I'm quite surprised. People are still supporting this. I feel really good.
Don't go anywhere, because coming up after the break, maximum price for poultry will be set tomorrow, and US President signs a bipartisan gun safety bill into law. Right here on Tvs Nightline. Stay tuned.
Episode kali
Welcome back. The new ceiling price for poultry will be announced tomorrow, June 27th, and it will be determined based on the impacts to both consumers and traders so as to not burden either party.
According to a statement by the Deputy Minister of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, Dato' Rosal Wahid, the price of chicken may slightly increase as shortages persist. However, the Ministry of Domestic Trade and Consumer Affairs, or KPDNHEP, will be undertaking investigations on several identified farmers, wholesalers and retailers who imposed the extra charges for the cost of catching, cutting and packaging that has burdened customers. At the same time, Rosal is aware that there are shortages of 1 kilogram cooking oil in the market, prompting him to make a request from the Finance Ministry to increase the quota of the said item. The government is currently supplying 60,000 tons of subsidized cooking oil monthly. Rosal will be requesting for an extra 10,000 tons to relieve oil shortages.
Cases of influenza-like illness, or ILI, in the country are still currently under control despite several clusters involving boarding schools being detected. Parents should not worry, as these are common infections and would emerge from time to time. Hence, Health Minister Khairi Jamaluddin told parents these cases would only need monitoring and isolation.
Kes influenza ni akan bertambah dari masa ke semasa, terutamanya bila kita dah tak ada PKP dan kita dah mula mengurangkan langkah-langkah kesihatan awam seperti penjarakan fizikal, tak perlu pakai pelitup muka di luar dan sebagainya. Ini sudah pasti akan meningkatkan penyakit sebab mungkin selama 2 tahun yang lepas ini penyakit seperti influenza menurun sebab memang kita sama ada terpaksa dikurung di rumah ataupun ada langkah-langkah kesihatan awam tertentu yang kita ikuti. Jadi memang kalau kita lihat dari segi influenza, dari segi HMFD dan sebagainya, dia akan meningkat ya, sebab ini adalah low base effect daripada 2 tahun yang lepas. Namun demikian masih lagi terkawal dan tidak ada apa-apa yang perlu dibimbangkan.
Khairi spoke during a press conference at the B40 Health Screening and Awareness Outreach Program held at University Technology Mara UITM Rembau on Sunday. Khairi also explained that in the event where the number of cases of the disease staggers at an alarming level after the assessment is made, then certain measures will be implemented as soon as possible. Yesterday, the media reported that the Selangor Health Department had detected an increase in cases of infections such as ILI in educational institutions, especially boarding schools, over the past 2 weeks.
As of June 25th, the ongoing COVID-19 vaccination for children aged 5 to 11 in Sarawak has reached more than 80%. The statistics attributes to children who received 2 COVID-19 vaccine doses, which is ahead of the national rate of 37.7% as published on Ministry of Health COVID Now portal.
Other states recorded ahead of the national rate were Malacca with 49.1%, Johor 45.2%, Klang Valley and Penang 44.3% respectively, Negeri Sembilan 43%, and Perak with 37.8%. States such as Pahang, Kedah, Perlis, Sabah, Terengganu and Kelantan have recorded below the national rate, with Kelantan being the lowest at 11.1%. For adolescents aged 12 to 17, Sarawak recorded 93.9% or 271,646 individuals, well above the national rate, with 93.5% or 2,910,021 individuals. Population-wise, more than 2.3 million Sarawakians or 84.6% have been fully vaccinated, while over 1.5 million Sarawakians have received the booster doses.
You're watching TVs Nightline. U.S. President Joe Biden on Saturday signed a bipartisan gun safety bill into law, the first major federal gun reform in 3 decades, days after the Supreme Court expanded gun rights. He said the bill is going to save a lot of lives and said that the Supreme Court has made some terrible decisions.
The Supreme Court on Thursday, June 23rd, declared for the first time that the U.S. Constitution protected an individual's right to carry a handgun in public for self-defense. Gun control has long been a divisive issue in the nation, with several attempts to put new controls on gun sales failing time after time.
From Columbine to Sandy Hook to Charleston, Orlando, Las Vegas, Parkland, El Paso, Atlanta, Buffalo, Uvalde. And for the shootings that happen every day in the streets that are mass shootings that we don't even hear about, the number of people killed every day in the streets. Their message to us was do something. I don't know how many times we heard that. Just do something. For God's sake, just do something. Well, today we did. While this bill doesn't do everything I want, it does include actions I've long called for that are going to save lives. It funds crisis intervention, including red flag laws.
The new legislation includes provisions to help states keep guns out of the hands of those deemed to be a danger to themselves or others, and blocks gun sales to those convicted of abusing unmarried intimate partners. However, it does not ban sales of assault-style rifles or high-capacity magazines. The law does take some steps on background checks by allowing access, for the first time, to information on significant crimes committed by juveniles. It also cracks down on gun sales to purchasers convicted of domestic violence.
I know there's much more work to do, and I'm never going to give up. But this is a monumental day. God bless us with the strength to continue to work, to get the work that's left undone done. And the lives lost that can't be saved, that are obviously are gone, but will be an inspiration for us to do more.
The World Health Organization, WHO, on Saturday said the latest monkeypox detected in over 50 countries does not constitute a public health emergency of international concern at this stage, but added that it needed to be contained to prevent the further spread and be closely monitored.
WHO also said that monkeypox virus activity has been neglected and not well controlled for years in countries in the WHO African region. However, the committee highlighted a number of conditions that should prompt a reassessment of the event, such as an increase in the rate of growth of cases reported in the next 21 days, significant spread to and within additional countries, increase in the number of cases in vulnerable groups, and increased morbidity, mortality, and rates of hospitalization. WHO Director General Tedros Ghebreyesus called for step-up surveillance, improved diagnostics, community engagement and risk communication, and the appropriate use of therapeutics, vaccines, and public health measures, including contact tracing and isolation. He also called on member states to collaborate, share information, and engage with affected communities so that the public health safety measures are communicated quickly and effectively. Endemic monkeypox disease is normally geographically limited to West and Central Africa, but multiple clusters of the monkeypox virus have been reported within the past few weeks in regions where the virus is not normally found. It is related to smallpox, but is usually milder. It is spread by close physical contact with someone who has an active rash, so it can be relatively easily contained through such measures such as self-isolation and good hygiene.
As Afghanistan recorded thousands of fatalities following a 6.2 magnitude earthquake on Wednesday, authorities called to lift sanctions the country has been put on since Taliban took power. A spokesperson for the Afghan Foreign Ministry, Abdul Kahar Balkhi, said Afghans should be given the most basic right, which is the right to live.
The Islamic Emirate is asking the world to give the Afghans their most basic right, which is the right to life, and that is through lifting the sanctions and unfreezing our assets, and also giving assistance after destroying lives for 20 years.
Kahar also justified that the sanctions should be lifted following a controversial rule that was passed in the United States recently.
Answer that question with two counter questions. The one would be, is this the criteria for all societies to be given the most basic right, the right to life and existence? And number two, is this rule universal? Because the United States just passed an anti-abortion law, and it has laws in some states that enforce public morality and dress code.
While humanitarian assistance continues to flow, aid needed for longer-term development in Afghanistan was halted when the Taliban took over Kabul last August as foreign forces withdrew. Billions of dollars in Afghan reserves also remain frozen overseas as the West pushes for concessions on human rights, particularly for girls and women, in particular over girls' right to education after the group did not allow female high schools to open in March.
Tomorrow on Sejahtera Asia, we will have a line of talented and extraordinary individuals who not only excel in sports but baking too. Hosts Juan Olive and Jessica Chung will be joined by gold medalist arm wrestlers and coach Dominic Johnny and Jong Chi Chun, as well as Alam Hasbullah and Awang Nazreen, who will share their passion for cake. 7:30 a.m. on TVS Astro Channel 122 and My Freeview. See the world closer with TVS as we bring you the latest news updates both locally and internationally. Just a click away by heading on to our website at TVSTVMY or follow us on our social media. And before we end Nightline tonight, on behalf of TVS, I would like to extend our heartfelt condolences to the family and friends of Patrick Ajan, TVS studio director who passed away at 5:21 p.m. earlier today. He was a kind soul and will be missed dearly. May he rest in peace.
Aku